St. Louis got some ideas on masks now that we're in consensus that we should all be wearing masks. There are materials in your own homes that can be used, and as long as you have scissors and such things as a t-shirt, although lots of fabrics will work, this project is going to be able to be done. I have done a little bit of research, but more so I have worked on the template and done the measurements so that I can kind of break it down to, rather than inches, just kind of like dimensions of t-shirts and hand measurements. We're gonna start with a black t-shirt. That's what we have. Any t-shirt will do. T-shirt material is not a great filter material for the purposes that we're talking about to prevent COVID-19 and particles from moving. So this is a design that utilizes 2 layers of t-shirt fabric and then filters. We have lots of filter opportunities in our homes, even if we don't have obscure things like N95 masks. There are coffee filters in your kitchen, paper towels. This happens to be a portion of a dog diaper. This is a human diaper insert that has been used as a rag in our home, but makes a great filter. Washcloths, doesn't even have to have the filter. It's just an enhancement to the CDC no-sew guideline, or no-sew design, by making it 2-ply. So if you have your t-shirt, you will need scissors in order to cut this. I don't know of a way of ripping a t-shirt across this way, but basically you're going to measure from the bottom of the t-shirt after you've laid it out flat 2 hands up. That measurement works out to be approximately 14 inches. It's taller than a typical notebook from school, bigger than most women's feet, might be similar to a man's sized boot or something like that. But you're gonna just cut straight across. And cutting t-shirt is not easy. I'm cutting through both levels. I would say that giving the fabric a little bit of rise by lifting it can help it. I'm not trying to stretch it or distort it, because it's real easy to get off track when you do things like that. I now have 1 rectangle that ultimately I want to be about 36 inches. This is about 20 inches across, and if I just cut it right here, or in the middle, anywhere, doesn't matter. This t-shirt doesn't have a seam, and that means it's knit rather than made out of something like a woolen material. So now I have a really big piece of material. This one's probably about 17 or 14 inches by 40 inches. I have another fabric over here that's a little bit smaller. Your exact dimensions really don't matter. You could have it at 13 inches by the long dimension. This one's a little bit shorter. The key part to this design, like I said, I made a template, and it involves a folded seam. So you're taking your larger fabric and you're folding it into, let's see, I'll hold it this way because that'll show it. Just folding it in 2. So I'm basically putting it back into the shape that it was. And again, this one is going to be very oversized with the tails that it has. From that size, I'm folding it once again in half. This seam here, where it's folded versus all 4 layers showing, that's important. And you want to make note of that, because again, I have a template, but you don't need one. You can kind of see this t-shirt works for this. If this were a little bigger or smaller, the important thing is actually again, noting this folded edge, the folded edge. This side on our pattern, that's what a template is a pattern. The pattern is thinner here than here. This is thin because it's going to be twice as wide because it's folded over. Right here, you're looking at about 2 fists. Maybe it's 1 hand. For most people, this is 2 hands that we're cutting out. Again, this was a little bit bigger t-shirt, so it's got a little bit longer to cut out. I don't need this here. I do need to recognize that that's the size that I'm leaving out, and I'm cutting out 2 hands. This is the narrow side for me on the left, where this folded piece is. This is the wider side. So I'm gonna start, and again, I said that lifting it makes it easier. This is my narrow side. I'm just doing a big, long rectangle. I guess you'd call it a block shape. It's a lot taller than a cereal box. And I'm coming up to that 2 hands, or yeah, 2 fists or 1 hand. That's my mask part that's gonna go over my face. Because it's 4 wide, it's actually 2 wide on the face. Now I'm going over here for the 2nd or 3rd side of the rectangle that I'm cutting out. And then this one is going to be a little wider. Like I told you, easing it up a little helps with the cutting. Trying not to lift too much. There's my long rectangle that comes out. What you're probably seeing now is the rough shape of a mask, but you're wondering, how are all these octopus legs gonna work out? We're just gonna pull apart here, and we'll fold it a little differently. Match up these legs here and that, and back those top legs together. So now you can just see how a filter fits right in there. And before I do anything, I'm actually gonna knot this because I feel it just makes it a little bit more secure, because you got a loose piece of who knows what in there that you might not want everybody to know what you're using for your filter, but it just puts it more securely. So these are just that circular knot when you're tying your produce up. I do 2 fingers around, and I'm kind of holding it there with 2 fingers, pushing it through. And up here, clearly, I'm tying 2 pieces together. That just helps control it as well. And you see how it just kind of naturally makes it a little bit more into a mask shape. But again, it's holding a filter for us up here. We could hypothesize that somebody could even use a sanitary product, because that has some of the same features, and that has stickiness. Some of these other products, like using part of a diaper, that may have that as well. The up or down here doesn't matter. You may even want to tie the ends. I have one over here that I braided. These are just tied ends. Really doesn't matter. I think the folded edge goes over, I'll take my glasses off, goes at the top. And that's where I tie first. For me, I'm just tying a bow tie up here. It's got some stretch in it, a little bit of grip, real easy to take on and off. And I should say it's real easy to take on and off without touching the front. We're not supposed to touch the front now that it's in use. So you'll just untie it, and when it's the best part of this mask, this is also not something you're supposed to do when in use, the best part of this mask is the whole sleeve is hand washable in your sink as soon as you come back in from using it. Hang it up wherever you want it to dry. It's going to dry in 2 or 3 hours or less. So tying this lower piece, I'll get this back going up. Very little filtration. Glasses are on. I hope very little of my doggy diaper is showing, but that's my mask. Again, taking it off is important. You're taking it off using the straps, and you're even holding it in a way that doesn't let it drop on your clothing. Having a little trouble untying it because I have brand new knots here. So I didn't do that part right, but you're untying it, and then this portion could be disposed. It might be a reusable piece you have, but in my case it's disposable, and the mask is really just a shield or a pocket for that filter material. Here's a reusable material that would fit in the same way. I can think of a lot of filter materials. You can use any material. A stretchy material was used that doesn't provide the filtration, and that's why I'm adding the filtration. A cotton material is the best mask material. Thank you.